All right, welcome back to another episode of Casey Campbell's Videocast. Of course, I'm Casey Campbell with Great Lakes Post, and we are joined by none other than Chase Briscoe, the driver of the number 98 Ford Performance Ford for Stewart-Haas Racing in the NASCAR Xfinity Series as he gets prepared to run at Kansas. How are you, man?
Good. How are you?
I'm hanging in there. So in the beginning of the season, you said that you needed 8 wins to really kind of take yourself to the next level. You got 5 already. Overall, this season's been going pretty well, but how do you think it's going?
Yeah, I think it's been really well. We definitely, up until these last 2 weeks, I feel like we've been, in the hunt to win every race up until Kentucky. And Kentucky, typically just has never been a great racetrack for me. And so I think we kind of knew going in it was going to be hard to win those races. But up until that point, we've had speed at every single racetrack, and that's all you can ask for. So I feel like we've given a couple of races away, probably given away 2 or 3, but we've also probably won 1 or 2 that we shouldn't have won. So it always balances out. But so far, it's been a really good season and a good start.
I'll tell you, the Ford across all 3 levels has been outstanding this year. Of course, with you in the Xfinity Series, of course, the other Ford, Austin Cindric's been doing pretty well. So far as 3 wins so far this season. I know you and, of course, you guys were teammates when you were at PKR in the trucks. But talk about how Austin's been kind of like a mentor to you when it comes to certain tracks.
Yeah, growing up, I had no experience on any type of road racing. And in 2018, well, even 17, whenever we were teammates in trucks, he helped me at that road course. But then 18, when Ford really shifted and started running me in a lot of these IMSA races, Austin was kind of the guy I would go to. A lot of the time, he was even my teammate in those. But, he grew up road racing, kind of the same deal in the truck series. Whenever we went to Eldora, he came and looked for me to advise, just because I had so much dirt background. So it's kind of the same thing. These road courses, I always value his opinion, always try to watch and see what he does, just because he's probably the best in the Xfinity Series when it comes to these road courses. So, even this year at Indy, after practice, going and talking to him, it's always nice when you can have that, and, a guy that's going to shoot you straight, and that's what Austin always does.
Yeah. I know you got a chance to work with Zippy for a few races, and of course you guys got to win at the Indy Road Course. And with Indianapolis, it's always a special place when you, of course, being from Indiana, and I know you grew up racing, and I know your biggest fan was. I know you grew up watching Tony Stewart, and
yeah,
like to win at Indy in any sort of track form.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you just get a race in Indianapolis, it's an honor and a privilege. And, to be able to win there now, driving for my hero and Tony Stewart with his old crew chief, Zippy, on the box, it was crazy. All full circle out, came back. Obviously wish it would have been on the oval, but regardless, winning at the road course, it was still the first time to ever race on the road course. And anytime you can be the first at anything, it's a big deal. So, to be able to do that and do it with Zippy, and that was the last race Zippy was going to crew chief in. So to go out with a win, and really we won every race except for Talladega together. So we had a good run. But yeah, it was super special to just get a race at Indy, and let alone win there for sure.
I know this has been an interesting year for you, of course. After the win at Darlington, of course, with the miscarriage, and then of course a few nights ago, you guys experienced something that. A very scary situation with you're hearing gunshot. What has this year been like for you?
It's been crazy, to say the least, off the racetrack. On the racetrack, it's been really good. We haven't really had too many issues. I mean, even on the track, we've had some weird stuff happen, but we've had a lot of success on the track, and then off the track, it's definitely been a roller coaster of a year. But still been a great year. I think really everybody. The year 2020 has kind of been different than every other year. So I don't know what it is about this year. It's been, like I said, good on the racetrack, off the racetrack. I think everybody's kind of been thrown a curveball, but we're dealing with it. We're still staying strong, and one thing after another keeps coming up, but we're staying positive and just trying to keep going forward.
I know we talked about this before we went on, but you posted on Twitter about you experiencing you heard gunshots when you were, I think, letting your dogs out or something. Talk about what that experience was like.
Yeah, I just let my dogs out literally like 30 or 40 seconds before, and I came in, and me and Marissa were watching a movie, and I'd hung the dog's leashes up, and then it sounded, obviously it was gunshots, but it was so loud. It was right outside our door practically, and we didn't know if it was fireworks or what, just because it was just past 4th of July, about a week after, and they kind of stood there for a second and was like, what the heck was that? And I called my neighbor. Me and him are really good friends, and we just were like, hey, did you hear that? And about 15 minutes later, we started seeing cops kind of driving around the neighborhood. So come to find out, I guess there was a shooting right around the corner. I don't know whatever happened with it, but definitely was crazy, to say the least. It was loud, and something you definitely don't want to hear, but we were all good, and nobody even got hurt in the whole deal. So I don't know what was going on, but it was definitely crazy, to say the least.
I know you were talking about, what you don't know your plans what are for next year. I know you've been talking to some people, and how has that kind of been going? And do you have like any updates you want to say or anything with how next year may go?
Yeah, I don't have anything yet. Normally all my stuff doesn't even start getting talked about until super late. And I think, I'm just trying to focus on this year, trying to win as many races and hopefully win a championship. I feel like if I can go do those things and check all those boxes, then hopefully it proves that I'm ready for the next level. So, I've just been focused on it. I haven't even started asking about next year, just because I'm so focused on this year right now and trying to let all the on-track stuff do the talking. I'm sure that we obviously have to talk at some point about what's going to happen next year, whether it's moving up or staying in the Xfinity Series. So just trying to do all I can on the racetrack and kind of let that, be the talking factor in all of it.
You go to Kansas this weekend, and, it's a track that I don't – what do you think about heading there? I know you've had some success at 1.5 miles so far this year. Of course, you've won some races. I'm not sure if you got any wins at Kansas, but what's it going to be like heading there?
Yeah, I love going to Kansas. I've always had a lot of success there. Getting to win there in the ARCA car. I think the truck I was 3rd or 4th there, and then Xfinity last year, we were going to win the race until a lap car wrecked me. It was like 12 or 13 to go. So I know that we're going to have a really good car going there. We're going back pretty much identical to how we were last year. The temperature will be a little bit hotter, but that just means it's going to be slicker. So I feel like that just benefits our race team and me even as a driver. So I'm looking forward to it. I feel like these last couple of weeks have been really struggle racetracks for me personally, and even as a company, we just kind of struggle at those places. So we're kind of going back to our strong suit in a place like Kansas. So hopefully we can capitalize on that.
And I wouldn't be remiss if I didn't ask if your thoughts on practice and qualifying, that there will be none of that for the rest of the 2020 season. How have you kind of adjusted to not having practice or qualifying or any of that at the races since the return?
Yeah, I don't mind, truthfully. I love the fact that we don't have practice, just because it goes back to, growing up dirt racing. You show up and you might be at a track you've never even seen before, and you get 2 or 3 laps of practice, then you go racing. So, I think it makes more in the race car driver's hands. Nobody's car is going to drive perfect, because none of them are dialed in to be perfect from all that practice. So as a race car driver, you just have to adapt and figure it out, and, try to make your car as best you can in a limited amount of time. And it obviously puts a lot of emphasis on the teams, but I enjoy it. Obviously, the qualifying thing, we've kind of been on the bad end of the stick as far as the draw goes. I feel like we started 11th or 12th every single week. So I wouldn't mind qualifying, or at least going off the actual points instead of the invert, or not the invert, but the random draw, just because we've always kind of got messed up with it. But I'm all forward to showing up and racing. I'm sure in the future that's going to be something that's looked at. I definitely wouldn't be opposed to it.
Yeah. All right, Chase, thank you so much, man. And good luck this weekend at Kansas.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.